Good day, you're welcome to another edition of our class. And today I want to talk about the Flickr 5 energizer. This is the LPC Flickr 5. And one thing I noticed about this energizer, if you've ever gotten one of these, you notice that this thing comes without a manual. Sometimes it's just, if you are very familiar with the Wizard 4, you just want to use the same way you program your Wizard 4. I think the people who designed this, they actually copied, I use the word copied, the model of what you have in the Wizard 4. Right? Almost like Nemtek, like you have the Tamper. But here, there are some differences I spot. You see here for the Nemtek, we have sort of these deep switches. We have, instead of the deep switch we have here, Nemtek, we use jumper to program to set up your energizer. But the LPC, uses deep switches. And also, if you look at what you have at the display too, Nemtek, if you check the wizard, what you have on the wizard, you see the bad, the check, and the good. Just with that's this lamp flickers, it goes up, right? That's what you have here for the flicker. Then you have your power on this power. This power shows AC is connected, like this plug is connected. When this plug is connected, you have a solid light on the power. Then the on is when this energizer is turned on using either the remote or the what's the name? The switch. The switch. My switch is not here. It is that I have the remote here anyway. So and you have the alarm. That's when there's an intrusion, when there's a fault on the fence. This alarm comes up. Then you have the gate. The gate has to do with the switch on where if you see, look at that switch now. While we have those gates most times, the gate is set such that if you want to program the gate terminal, you can set it such that gate terminal, this gate works with this switch. So it helps to detect if there are areas where you have the gate is opened, where this switch, if it's configured or not, it sends signal to this place, the gate. Then for the service, also when you see your service light, it means your battery needs to be changed or maybe it's low. Okay, today I want us to explain some things. So I'll be teaching us how you can actually program the Flickr 5 energizer. How you can program the Flickr 5 energizer. So let's have a look at this. I'll be right on the Flickr 5 energizer configuration. All right. Okay. Now for the deep switches you have on the Flickr, this is what you see there. Let's see so that we label them. And we know what we're talking about. You have number, okay, stuff here like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you have a switch like this from top to bottom. Let's assume this is the energizer. Sorry, my marker is faint. This is the terminal for your output. We have, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. These are deep switches. Now on the default, this part shows the on. This is the on this one, means this side is the off. So that's what you have on the deep switch of your energizer. And on default, we have on, the switch is here, on, sorry, not on, this is not on, this is off, is on off, all right, on, and off. This is the default of what your deep switch look like. This is off, this is on, this is, sorry for the break, I think it was necessary Just have to get my pen also. And now, what I want us to understand is what each of these dip switches stands for. Now, on default, like you have said earlier, you have the off, on, and off. This is the default way you see your dip switches: off, on, off. So now, what does this stuff, what do they stand for if you're setting up this energizer? Because like I said earlier, we don't have a manual that came with this. This comes with the remote and also the key switch for turning it on. This is how you set up your your energizer. Because somebody was asking, how do we program this? Can they because if you have scenario where maybe you cannot get a replacement for your remotes, they are bad, are you planning to get a third-party transmitter and receiver for you to turn off and on this energizer remotely, or you want to sync this energizer with maybe a smart switch where you can, from a remote location, you might not be in that site, as far as you have internet, you can also turn on this energizer, turn it off. Either of those things, you just want to toggle this energizer, there is need to understand what how you can carry out this operation. Now, for the key switch, this is number 2 is for the key switch. If this number 2 for these dip switches, number 2, the second one here, I just said this is just a bigger. Let me just make this, see if it's clear. All right, this is the on, off. Okay, on, off. This is here, and this one is also here. You can actually push this here. You can push them here, push them the other way. You can toggle this stuff. You can actually toggle this button, just push them. Like if I want to do that, I come here, I can take a screwdriver, I just push it. So for number 2, this is just the default. Number 1 can be like the master most times. You might not need to touch this, you can leave it there. But for this one, number 2 stands for your key switch. Your key switch such that you want to disable it where no one can come, will just come. It's also a security feature. You can disable that when somebody comes close to the energizer, tries to turn it on with the key switch. With the key switch, they put the key switch there. This energizer won't turn off. It won't turn on or off. You push this one to the off position. That's the key switch. Dip switch number 2. If you push it here, push this from on to off, this key switch would not, the small blue stuff that comes with it can no longer turn this on and turn it off. Maybe I might have to get that. So we'll give it a shot, we'll try that. We'll do that. But let's just go ahead with other things. Now, then this can be done where you can only use maybe the remote, or you try to use the terminal, this terminal. Now from the energizer, we always have this terminal called the switch. The last one on the right hand side, the last 2 terminals on this block, this terminal block is a switch. We have the first one as the siren, we have the second as the light, the strobe, while the third one, the last 2 is for the switch. So that terminal, if you want to activate this terminal for it to function, you need to turn terminal toggle number 3, turn it off. This one, switch, this 3, the third dip switch, turn it off. Then it means you've set up this terminal for it to accept an external device, an I/O system. I/O on and off, what to turn it off, remove it. We're going to practicalize that anyway. We'll show that during the course of this class. Then this tamper, most times before you turn on your energizer, this button must first be depressed. You press it down. When you press it, it means the energizer is ready for you to turn off and on. If this is not pressed down, there's no way, if this thing is open, for example, there's no way you can turn on this energizer. But if I want to bypass this, I want to take it out, then I can come here and push this tamper, this deep switch, push it on, because this one represents the tamper. If I push it on, while this energizer is open, without me pressing this energizer, I can actually turn it on. So that is just for that. So we'll be practicalizing all of this with this energizer right away. All right, come with me while we to do this practical. These are the key switches that comes with this energizer, like an RFID switch. Yes. So let's have this. Let's assume. Okay, let me turn on this energizer. Always ensure the terminal here is looped. See, I've looped it on that. They are all looped. Else, it begins to raise alarm, like the circuit is open. So let me turn this on. If you recall, I said number one, default, leave it there. Then number two, like I said, is for the key switch. Number three is the switch terminal, which is here. And number four is the tamper, which is this. So now, this is the terminal I talked about, the switch. You see, that's a switch. Okay, these are the sirens and the lights, siren and light. Okay, that's a switch. So on this block, I've connected to the terminal of the switch, which is this last two. So I'll just leave this here. Now for safety, let me cover this part of the energizer so that I'm not exposed. I don't get any kind of shock. Alright, so if I try to turn on this energizer, because it's opened, you see it's not turning on. But I told you the last time that the button for this that controls it is the tamper, which is number 4. Let's see. You see, I'm able to turn this on while the energizer is open. Default, it shouldn't have worked if I have left it the way it was until this energizer is covered. It's a tamper button, so that when it's opened, this is just for the sake of this class, just to program, or I want to do anything. I don't want to start covering and start testing. So, but for this class, I will allow this to slide. All right, so let me turn it off. Now if I push it back to default, okay, see, it can't turn on even while it's open. If you even try the remote, it won't turn on. Nothing works, nothing. So that's for that. So what we need to do now, I'll turn this, let me put it back to the on position. So I've switched the deep switch for on. So but for now it means I can actually work with this energizer while it's opened. You hear the sound, okay? Now see, this is working. Can actually turn off with the remote, can turn it on. All right, that's for that. The next stage for this is for us to check how we program it. If you want to use a third-party remote control, maybe this remote is faulty. If you want to use a third-party remote control, like a transmitter and a receiver, or you want to also use a smart relay to operate this energizer remotely. What you have to do, I've connected this cable out for the switch. These are the terminal. So I will need to activate this terminal, which is the 4 deep switch. No, sorry, deep switch number 3. This switch 3, the gate has turned on. You see, the energizer has turned on because I left this what's the name? This tamper on. So now just watch. You see, the energizer has turned on, off. So this is how you set up the terminal for this switch to perform that operation. You set up this terminal to perform that operation. Let me do it all over again. So the gate lamp will remain on. Okay. if you put your, do I need to put, I've explained those lights anyway. I don't need this cover for that. So now what I'll need to do, let me turn off. Now let me return that terminal back. Okay, you see, nothing happens. Nothing happens because I have returned it back to default. So if I want to activate it, I push it this other way to off. Then for this key switch that I talked about, you want to deactivate this where nobody is able to use this. You just want to be operate it from maybe any other location without this. Sorry, let me try to turn this off. You come here, dip switch number 2, turn it off. This is not working. For this terminal, if I want to activate this other terminal for this to work, I can also push this. So see, now this terminal, see, so let me this can no longer function because I've activated this. I've deactivated the switch from working, so it can no longer function. So if I want to reactivate it, all I need to do is push number 2 back on. See, it can now work, and I can also from here deactivate it. Okay, this is all we'll be having for today regarding the Flicker 5 Energizer. Please do well to like this video, subscribe, share massively, so that every other installer should be well informed about how your Flicker, to understand every other component, what this, how you can actually program this, set this thing up. But with this, what I just done, I can go on and on, where I can connect it even to the internet. So remotely, I can turn it off from a remote location. I might not even be here, but I can turn on and off this energizer. And there are even options where we can also program devices to it that triggers that can add like a response system. Maybe there's an intrusion here where it begins to call you, or begins to send SMS to inform you about the intrusion here. Till we meet again in our next class, I remain your host, Daniel. Do have a lovely day. Bye for now.
The Full Tech TV.
I'm the red guy, call me Slim Shady, getting the death.